Something massive just happened, and this, I believe, is actually extremely bullish for Tesla stock in the long term. Nvidia just lost almost $600 billion in market cap, which is more than any company ever in history in one single day. And this is extremely relevant to Tesla stock investors because it proves that Tesla's approach is actually the right approach. And there is a lot of nuance here with some huge plot twists, so make sure you watch this whole segment, otherwise you will be possibly severely misinformed. DeepSeek, which is a Chinese company, just said that one of its latest AI models cost just $5.6 million to train, but OpenAI's ChatGPT model cost more than $100 million to train. And supposedly they were able to train the model using chips that are not that good, questioning NVIDIA's business model or its profits in the future. And how is this relevant to Tesla? Oh, it is so relevant. I will explain. Mark Anderson called this DeepSeek model, which was just released, one of the most amazing and impressive breakthroughs I've ever seen. He's an American venture capitalist with a lot of experience, so he does not say this lightly. And supposedly you can now basically sort of do the same thing that previously you were only able to do with 100,000 GPUs. But you can now do it with just 2,000. And this is where it gets even crazier. There must be a catch. That's what everyone is saying. But it's all open source. You can actually see their AI, and then you can run it on your own computer if you want to. The code is literally public. The technical papers explain everything. It's not magic, just incredibly clever engineering. And this breaks the model of only huge tech companies playing in the AI field, because you don't need $1 billion GPU cluster to do some AI training or make a new model. No, you can do it with just a few good GPUs, possibly. So companies are less likely to buy a lot of NVIDIA GPUs, which are extremely expensive. And on top of all this, DeepSeek has a team that's less than 200 people. And how is this relevant to Tesla? Think about it. This whole time, Elon Musk has been saying that on hardware 3, they can solve FSD. That's his belief. He was convinced that hardware was not the problem. The software was the main problem. And if these reports from DeepSeek are actually accurate and not filled with lies, then it further reinforces that Tesla's approach to solving full self-driving is definitely the correct one. We don't need computer hardware that's $50,000 or $100,000 sitting in a single vehicle to make full self-driving safer than human driving. No, you can just have a simple computer and make it work, basically. Everyone is obsessed about NVIDIA today, but I, as a Tesla stock investor, I view this story extremely favorably. However, there is more nuance to this story. Like I said, you want to stick around. People are raving how transparent DeepSeek is because, for example, it allows users to see a detailed chain of thought reasoning process, while OpenAI's ChatGPT does not show you that. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't OpenAI have more open processes and techniques of showing you exactly how it came to the conclusion that it's presenting to you? And the Chinese, shouldn't they be more closed? And Elon actually replied to this post saying, interesting analysis, best I've seen. This AI model, by the way, it's the #1 downloaded app on the App Store right now. And this is now the important part. It is easy to verify that the R1 training run only cost $6 million. While this is literally true, it is also deeply misleading. The $6 million does not include costs associated with prior research and ablation experiments on architectures, algorithms, and data per the technical paper. So you can actually spend just $6 million training that model if a lab has already spent hundreds of millions of dollars on prior research and has access to much larger clusters. It is stated that DeepSeek obviously has way more than 2,000 H800s. One of their earlier papers referenced a cluster of 10,000 A100s. And here's a big one. 20% of NVIDIA's GPUs are probably not in Singapore despite their best efforts. Where do you think these chips are, the ones that are supposedly in Singapore? Do you think they are really in Singapore? Are they really in Singapore? Are they not in China possibly somehow? There was also likely a lot of distillation, i.e. it is unlikely they could have trained this without unhindered access to GPT-4 and '01. So it's a bit funny to restrict access to leading GPUs and not do anything about China's ability to distill leading-edge American models. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Now also, all this means that a model, which let's say could be possibly as good as ChatGPT, can literally run on your personal computer and maybe even on a phone in perhaps 2 years, like the best phone that you can buy on the market in 2 years. You could probably run a model that's as good as ChatGPT and it's not connected to the internet. Also, from an economic perspective, this massively increases the value of distribution and unique data. And data is something that Tesla has a lot more of than anyone else. There is one more caveat to all of this. Grok 3 will be trained on more compute, a lot more compute than any previous model ever before. And this really will be the first significant test of scaling laws for pre-training, arguably since GPT-4. And Grok 3 has already shown it can actually do tasks better than other models. So generally, more compute is still better, but this changes a lot. Andrej Karpathy, who used to lead Tesla's FSD development, commented on the story saying that this is a big deal. He asked, does this mean you don't need large GPU clusters for frontier large language models? No, but you have to ensure that you're not wasteful with what you have. But I think actually there's a lot to unpack here. Someone says, I think it's possible that DeepSeek is an incredible breakthrough and that it wasn't trained for just $5 million. However, it is truly incredible how you can download this model on your PC. And for example, Bradford Ferguson here is using the model to analyze 130,000 emails. It is running now at about 200 tokens per second, and it can analyze 10,000 emails per day. And you don't want to do that with, for example, ChatGPT because you're uploading it to ChatGPT. And OpenAI has access to that. And if it's sensitive information, you definitely don't want OpenAI to see that information, do you? I can understand why Wall Street is selling NVIDIA. However, selling other AI stocks, especially something like Tesla, based on this news is a huge mistake. And I agree with Farzad that Wall Street selling off AI based on this just shows you how little the general public understands AI. And Wall Street largely assumes that the breakthrough from DeepSeek is actually, there's some merit to it and that it is important. But DeepSeek being that good, assuming that it achieved its performance with the claimed compute, means that AI's value creation capabilities are about to absolutely explode because now everyone has access to good AI for cheap, which is going to create a gigantic demand on compute. It's like a few decades ago, only the very, very rich were able to buy phones, and then later anyone can buy it. So demand actually went up for phones. So Wall Street really should have doubled overnight, believes Farzad. Personally, I'm not invested in NVIDIA, and I'm not planning to, but there is a point that Dan Ives makes here. No US Global 2000 is going to use a Chinese startup, DeepSeek, to launch their AI infrastructure and use cases. At the end of the day, there is only one chip company in the world launching autonomous robotics and broader AI use cases. That is NVIDIA. Golden buying opportunity, he believes. But he's sort of talking more about broad AI as well. Bears missed the historical rally in tech stocks last 2 years and will miss the next 2 years, constantly waiting for the black swan to end the AI revolution trade, which will include Tesla, by the way. From Fed days, rumors of NVIDIA Blackwell delays, Tokyo Black Monday, today no different with DeepSeek buying opportunity. There's so much demand for DeepSeek right now that they are allowing only mainland China users with a valid Chinese number to sign up. This is temporary though. And this is where it gets really interesting. Elon replied to this post. The billionaire and Scale AI CEO, Alexander Wang, said that DeepSeek has about 50,000 H100s that they cannot talk about because of the US export controls that are in place. So, how much money did they actually spend on making that model work? And Elon Musk commented on this post saying, obviously they have this many NVIDIA GPUs, and this is actually a huge number. You know that Tesla is spending an insane amount of money on training its AI and on GPUs. And in the Q3 earnings report, Tesla basically showed us that it has something like 70,000 H100 equivalents. So 50,000 is a serious number. I wonder what the CEO of Nvidia has to say about that, about those supposedly 50,000 GPUs that DeepSeek has right now, which they are not supposed to have their hands on. And now we have a statement directly from Nvidia. DeepSeek is an excellent AI advancement and a perfect example of test time scaling. DeepSeek's work illustrates how new models can be created using that technique, leveraging widely available models and compute that is fully export control compliant. I'm sorry, obviously that's a lie. Inference requires significant numbers of NVIDIA GPUs and high-performance networking. We now have 3 scaling laws, pre-training and post-training, which continue, and the new test time scaling, which basically means that AI progress is about to accelerate. I personally think they do have a lot more GPUs than they claim they have, meaning they actually did spend substantially more money than they claim they have. However, you can personally look at their code and verify by running the thing on your own computer and see that actually there are some big things happening here. So I think both can be and are true at the same time. Number one, they are lying. Number two, this is actually a bit of a breakthrough for AI. And training AI as well as running AI going forward is going to be cheaper, further validating that Tesla's approach to solving autonomy is actually the correct approach. More GPUs, it's still better. More compute, it's still better. But that's not the only thing that matters going forward. And as I'm recording, the technology sector is actually down 4%. Tesla is down too, but it's not down as much, at least while I'm recording this. And usually Tesla moves substantially more than that index I just showed to you, meaning that Tesla today is actually overperforming relatively compared to the broader technology market. And so I say that today is a buying opportunity for Tesla, especially after this news, because I view it definitely positively for Tesla. And now some more good news for Tesla stock investors. The Trump administration is working on a deal for Oracle to buy TikTok. And Oracle, as we know, is of course not Elon Musk. So Elon will not need to sell Tesla stock to buy TikTok. Now, of course, things can still change at any moment, but at this moment, they are heading in a direction that Tesla stock investors will like. And after this whole thing with AI today, Morgan Stanley actually reiterated an overweight rating for Tesla stock with a $430 price target, but their bull case is actually $800, which is basically a doubling of Tesla stock in the next 12 months in their bull case. There's also another massively bullish rumor going around at this moment. This is true. It will be a big win for Tesla stock, and I believe that Tesla stock would rally on the day of the announcement of FSD actually being approved in China. And someone said we can expect Tesla FSD to be approved in China in the first quarter. I wouldn't take that rumor from China too seriously, but maybe there is something there. Back to Morgan Stanley's price target though. The firm clarified that it does not currently assign any value to Tesla for embodied AI, which I believe is basically human robots and stuff like that, in its $430 price target or its $800 bull case scenario. But the $800 price target does include some good things happening to Tesla's robotaxi business. And there's some more good news for Tesla from China. The new Tesla Model Y has reportedly brought in 130,000 orders in China in the 16 days since the order bank opened. Also, Elon Musk got an official shout out from the White House account on X. This is one reason why I like to drive on FSD. Look at how close this was to an actual major accident. I mean, this is on a highway and the speed was pretty high. These are not going slowly. Use FSD if you have FSD because it might save your life. There's a good update on Tesla's upcoming semi-truck factory. The factory walls are now complete and it is fully enclosed. Pilot production is started to begin later this year with an eventual production capacity of 50,000 trucks per year. And so I assume that Tesla will talk about this factory on the earnings call, which is happening this Wednesday, so very, very soon. And I'm also, like Sawyer, curious about Tesla's energy margins and how quickly does Tesla expect to ramp up the new Shanghai Megapack factory. I saw someone wondering, is Tesla building the new Model Ys in the US just in Texas or in Fremont as well? And actually, they are building them in both Fremont and Texas. Also, all new Model Ys built in Texas, California, as well as in Europe, they do not have a Tesla badge on the front of the vehicle, but they do have the badge if the vehicles are made in China. Sort of interesting. Oh, but the Model Ys that are made in Shanghai but sold overseas do not have the front badge. I can sort of relate to this because I'm using FSD so much. Do you like the stock in the new Model Y, or do you prefer the steering wheel buttons like in the Model 3? I don't care. I'm not using either. Ask FSD which it likes better, and Tesla AI replied with an LOL to that post. Bill Gates actually made a comment about Elon Musk. He said, I haven't spoken directly to him in maybe 18 months, but I've known Elon. He's a member of the Giving Pledge. I admire a lot of the great work he's done. He finds time to do a lot of things. And of course, this is what you say when you have shorted Tesla $500 million and you have seen your liability grow multiple folds of that for betting against the most innovative entrepreneur of all time, Elon Musk. I think Omar makes some very good points here. Keeping in mind that we have the White House featuring our Tesla CEO, you have to be ready for an onslaught of propaganda to smear this guy and convince you to hate him. And we definitely have seen this already with the whole thing about Elon supposedly being, you know, a certain person from Germany. But here's something interesting, even for those who really dislike Elon Musk. While we associate SpaceX and Tesla with Musk, these companies belong to America. Musk owns less than 20% of Tesla. The rest is owned by ordinary people and institutions. And these companies are really important to American competitiveness in many key industries. They will exist and thrive long after Musk is gone. There will definitely be intense political pressure to hate Elon, to hate his companies, and even to try and destroy his companies as retaliation for his participating in the political process, which we have already seen with Kathleen McCormick rescinding Elon's compensation package. Omar continues, what I've seen over the years is that few have the courage to stand up for an American business or American workers because they would rather look cool instead. When looters try to destroy Tesla, I hope there are enough people willing to stand up and stop them, and we will try, we will fight. And I strongly believe that we will be successful in fighting off all of these attacks. This billionaire says that there's an AI brain in every Tesla and that full self-driving can end all road deaths. Eventually that will happen. Maybe not every single death, because there are so many of them, but the vast majority of these deaths, absolutely. Elon is making some political remarks about the state of Germany, and he's endorsing one party over there, man. The opponents are definitely really upset with Elon over there. Elon says that the upcoming election in Germany could decide the fate of the world. He specifically said, go out there, talk to people, one vote at a time. There is a need for change. It's got to be done. This election is so important. The future of civilization could hang on this election. I'm not so sure if Germany is really that important because it's relatively to the US. It's not that big of a country, although it's certainly big in size in terms of European countries. He continues, when something is so important, you need to go all out to convince people to vote for AFD. It's the political party that he is telling everyone to vote for. And there's another quote from Elon directly. I think it could decide the entire fate of Europe, maybe the fate of the world. I think this quote is more accurate than the previous one. Also, you might see this image circulating around. This is if an outlet is really biased, they will use this image, and this is from one of the outlets. But there's someone waving a flag of Germany, and the timing of the flag is, well, it's interesting when they took the picture. Especially when the picture is small, it's not so obvious what's happening, but obviously when you zoom in, you can clearly see this is a flag, and you can see the pole of the flag. It's just, what a moment to take a picture like that. Wow. And then there's this. The Wall Street Journal has leaked an email Elon sent to X staff this month, supposedly. Our user growth is stagnant, revenue is unimpressive, and we are barely breaking even, Elon wrote. Despite the downbeat tone, this appears to confirm that as a business, X is no longer losing money. Elon then continued the email. Over the last few months, we have witnessed the power of X in shaping national conversations and outcomes, and we are also seeing other platforms begin to adopt our commitment to free speech and unbiased truth. However, there's one, let's call it a small problem, with this report from Wall Street Journal, and that is that Musk directly denied sending such an email, calling the report false and accusing the Wall Street Journal of lying. This is just hilarious. Astronomers mistook Elon's roadster for an asteroid. This is a real story, by the way. 7 years after the Falcon Heavy launch, the car drifted past Mars into an asteroid belt only to swing back 150,000 miles from Earth. That is pretty cool. The Tesla Model Y is receiving positive reviews from Chinese reviewers. For example, this one says, the gap between new and the old Tesla Model Y is really big. If you have FSD, check your vehicle because you might have a new FSD version being sent to your vehicle right now. In the US, Tesla is now displaying the new Model Y in Washington, D.C. at Tesla's Georgetown store. So Tesla is quickly rolling out new display Model Ys across their North American stores. A new study found that the Model 3 is the most affordable car to run in the United States of America. The annual energy costs of the Tesla Model 3 were the lowest in the study at just $636 per year, which is 71.68% lower than the study average of $2,246. And we are not just talking about fuel costs. No, we are talking about total annual running costs. The Model 3 is literally cheaper than a Honda Civic to run. It is cheaper than a Camry to run. This is accounting for annual fuel cost, annual maintenance, annual insurance, annual fees, and taxes. Now, we Tesla stock investors and Tesla vehicle owners have known this for a long time, but the public is also finding out about it now. Tesla's next earnings call is on Wednesday, and actually I might put out the next video on Thursday, because if I did put it out on Wednesday, it would be probably right before the earnings call, which would defeat the whole purpose of the video anyway. So I will probably just make a video on Thursday reviewing everything that happened on the earnings call. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you probably on Thursday. Thank you so much for watching.